Am I the a-hole for making my brother's wedding reception about me? Plus updates. Original post. I, 25 female, I'm a bridesmaid to the fiancé, 30 female, of my older brother, 31 male. She and I aren't particularly close, but I don't dislike her, and I suspect she asked me just because I'm a brother's sister. I of course agreed, and I was even fine with her putting me in whatever style she wanted, so long as it didn't involve me cutting/dyeing my hair. You know, any major changes. It's not my day, and I can suck up an ugly dress and act like it's gorgeous if that makes her happy. The issue, however, is that I am wheelchair bound. I know that the wedding venue is fine for me as is our local church, totally accessible, so all good. It's the venue being used for the reception that worries me. I asked her where the reception was going to be and if it was accessible for me and had an accessible bathroom. You know, just covering my bases. She did get back to me, so I figured she was busy, so left it a week or so before chasing her up again to re-ask. She told me she wasn't sure, so I asked where it was and she told me. I ended up looking up the building and my heart sank. It is an old building, not accessible at all for me, and no bathrooms I could feasibly use either. I told her this, and she got very upset, saying my brother had told her that he'd cover the cost, and she should just pick whatever she loved, and that she loved this. She then went on to suggest that we could just have someone carry me into the building, and my family or the other bridesmaids could help me use the bathroom when needed, which the very idea mortified me. I'm not about to agree to being carried in and needing help to go to the bathroom. So I ended up giving her two options. If she wanted me at the reception, she needed to pick somewhere that was accessible. If she didn't pick somewhere accessible, then I'd of course still be her bridesmaid at the wedding, but I'd have to skip the reception. She got upset at this as she feels like everyone, especially my family, will notice my absence and question it. It'll make her look bad. She then told me I was making this about me, which wasn't fair when it was her day. I won't lie, at this point I was enraged. I wanted to tell my brother to let him sort this out, but I wasn't about to start a rift between them over this, and I pointed out to her that yes, this was her day, and I had no intention of making about me. However, by marrying my brother, she was joining our family, and she needed to realize that she was not as sensitive as she thought she was. And suggesting that I be carried into the building and aided going to the bathroom was downright insulting. This led to a larger fight, and she told me if my brother didn't already know I was her bridesmaid, that she'd not want me to be it anymore. I called it quits at this point, and told her she had my two options, and it was up to her which one she wanted. Am I the a-hole here? I don't feel like asking for the minimum accessibility is a lot, but maybe I'm too upset by the situation and her suggestions to see it clearly. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole, but I don't know why you wouldn't just tell your brother that you are sorry but you won't be able to attend a reception because the location isn't accessible. Give him a chance to make this right, in case he truly doesn't appreciate how inaccessible the reception location is. If I sit the reception out, I will be telling him that don't worry. However, she picked out the reception venue herself it seems, so he likely has no idea it's not accessible at all. I wanted to give her a chance to fix it before possibly starting a fight between them, which I really don't want to do. It doesn't sound like she has any desire to fix the situation. Given how far out in advance venues are booked, you may want to bring this up to your brother sooner rather than later. Normal people consider their future in-laws. This one does not. Might enlighten your brother. Not the a-hole. She was completely out of line to ignore your requests for information about accessibility, especially given that you are going to be part of her new family and her bridal party. This is on her. You asked early, she ignored you. She can have the venue she wants, and you are not stopping her. But she has no grounds to demand you attend at a venue that doesn't accommodate you. To be honest, I know that you don't want to get your brother involved, but I think it might be a good idea before this gets too out of hand. Don't tear her apart, but just be very gracious. I am so excited to be in your wedding, but it looks like the reception is going to be off the table for me due to the venue being inaccessible. Also, kind of confused why your brother didn't make it abundantly clear to her that each venue needed to be wheelchair accessible when he's lived with you your whole life. I hope he's not often that inconsiderate either. This isn't making her wedding about you. This is you simply declining an invitation that doesn't actually include you. She should have known better, and so should your brother. That's a good idea. I may have to talk to him about this. He is not at all inconsiderate. which is why I've been hesitant to get him involved, as I know with most people he'd get angry over this, and I don't want to start a fight with him. He likely assumed it was obvious that any venue needed to be wheelchair accessible. If I were him, I'd want to know if my fiancé was treating my disabled sister this way. Now for the first update. Hi everyone, here's an update to the situation. As many of you suggested, I checked in with my brother and told him what was going on, but I found out that the reason he'd left the reception to her was they'd made an agreement with him covering the ceremony and should cover the reception. We're Catholic, so we cared more about the religious side of the event, while she cared more about the reception/party, as she's not religious, which isn't a bad thing, just different. I showed him the texts and explained what had happened, and he was angry at her suggestion I be carried into the building and insisted in going to the bathroom. And after only a quick search of the venue she'd picked, he could also see it wouldn't work out for me and promised he'd resolve this and have a talk with her. He was annoyed at me for not bringing this to his attention sooner and told me I shouldn't worry about his feelings over this. The best part of all of this, the venue isn't even booked yet. He had assumed she'd picked out somewhere accessible, but has admitted that he should have ensured that and not thought it a given. So he has told me he'll see it's changed, and if it isn't, they have a bigger problem on their hands. The part that really got him though was the admission that she didn't want me as her bridesmaid if he didn't already know, and he told me that in that case, he didn't want me being her bridesmaid and instead wanted me to be his groomswoman, which I agreed to. I've yet to hear back from him on what's happening, so I can only wait and see. I'll update further when I know more. Now for the full update 11 days later. Sorry for the late update. A lot has been going on behind the scenes, and I've been spending time with my brother in the aftermath, so I have been busy. My brother's now ex-partner refused to reach a compromise on the reception venue, despite days of arguments between the two of them, and apparently even demanded to know what mattered more to him, her having her dream reception or me being there, and she didn't like his answer to that question at all. Likewise, he was disgusted with her attitude, and apparently this wasn't the only red flag, just the biggest one he'd been unable to overlook. For instance, she kept insisting on getting our mother's engagement ring early, which my brother didn't cave on, thank God. My brother is the oldest child, so was promised our mother's engagement ring that has been in the family for generations. And he made it clear to her that she'd get it once they were officially married, and got her a cheap placeholder until then, but she'd apparently been kicking up a fuss about it every so often, trying to get him to cave. I was totally unaware of this until he told me. My brother apparently told her he loved her and wanted to work through this with her, but they needed serious couples therapy before he'd go ahead with the wedding, even suggesting that I tag along for a family's therapy appointment to get to the root of her apparent problem with me, which she didn't take well, and told him the wedding was off. They were breaking up, which he told her that was her decision and he wouldn't fight her on it. So yeah, he's been hanging out at mine a lot, and I felt incredibly guilty over this mess. But he won't hear any apologies from me on it, saying it's better this came to a head now. He's also wanting to take me and our parents on a family holiday with the money he was going to use for the wedding, so he has something to look forward to. I don't want to say we're well rid of her, as I do think she had some issues that my brother was right they'd have needed to resolve in therapy to become a healthy couple, as she seemed to think there was some kind of competition for his affection going on. Anyway, that's where things are right now. I just thought I'd let you all know, as I know many of you were wondering about the aftermath. And there's the swift sound of a bullet being dodged. Yikes. People who think they're in a competition with the siblings are so gross. Do they ever think about what they're actually saying with this? I also would not trust them to not try and compete with their own children. OP is lucky to have a brother who is willing to stick up for her like this. It should be normal, but I read the sub a lot, so... Right? OP may not realize it, but she helped her brother dodge a near-do-well proverbial tempest of a marriage. I'm so glad that he hadn't already given her the family heirloom ring, but the fact that he chose not to give it to her until they were married speaks volumes about how much he actually trusted his ex. I don't understand heirloom engagement rings. His mother was still wearing it. I would not like someone asking me to take my ring off and give it away at all. I'm shocked, I tell you, shocked to see that she's now the ex. Oh wait, I meant to say I am not shocked at all. Very happy her brother won't be miserable for the rest of his life. Given AITA, I'm always holding my breath a little. It was clear this was a huge red flag. I always feel bad when the people making these posts say that they don't want to cause a fight by bringing attention to something horrible being done to them. Because most of the time when they say this, they are not the ones causing the problems. Whatever the other person did to warrant a conversation being had with outside people is what caused the problem. But they are used to trying to fit in and not be the issue. Opie loves her brother and tries to deal with it without making brother step in. Unfortunately, a lot of people have the mindset that it's the complainer causing the problem. If you could just suck it up like the rest of us. Of course, these people are rarely receptive to the argument that there wouldn't be a problem at all if this person wasn't wronging me. So, next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law she gave up her family and it's her fault she's alone? My husband and I have been married for 6 years. At least 5 of those have been almost no contact with his mother. I don't know the whole story, but his dad passed away when he was young and his mom remarried a man who was horribly abusive to him, up until he moved out. He tried to tell his mother for years, but she just wouldn't believe it. It got to the point that for his own well-being, he just couldn't be around her anymore. This week, after years of silence, she shows up at our doorstep. She said she'd try to call, but we have her blocked, so obviously it didn't go through. She was in tears and started crying about how her husband had trashed her house and left her, and that she realized her son was telling the truth. How she didn't have anyone, all that crap. She begged to talk to my husband. I said that she had some freaking nerve coming to our house to cry after throwing her son to the side for a disgusting predator, until that stopped working for her. I said she made her bed. Now is the time to lay in it, and it wasn't going to be in my house. She was almost hysterical when she left, but her coming to the door put my husband in a panic attack that he's been too depressed to get out of bed since. I really don't care for that woman, but when I replay it in my head, I feel absolutely terrible. Berating someone in tears never feels good, and now I think I might have just made things worse. Should I have done something different? Was that an a-hole move? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She needed to be told. She didn't care when it was happening to her son, but oh, it's the end of the world when it happened to her. Good for you. Hold your head up high and keep looking after your husband. My high school boyfriend ended himself over his stepfather's maltreatment. Never laid a finger on the 4 boys he had with the boyfriend's mom, but beat the crap out of him for the crime of being born out of wedlock. I often wonder if she wised up and left him, but I doubt it. He'll be 30 years gone next June. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. At my wedding, my mother-in-law was bawling and saying she was so sorry she let his stepdad beat my husband. Could you have handled it differently? Sure. But what you did was primal and rightfully protective. Now, ask what your husband needs. I learned that no matter how terrible a parent treats a child, that now grown child still craves the approval from that parent. It was difficult for me to understand, so find out what he needs. That's what matters now. No. We don't crave the parental approval. My mom is very toxic, bossy, and it's her way or it's considered the wrong way. I just live my life and include her as little as possible in my girls' lives. She's like a cancer most of the time. Some people do crave that approval. It took 5 years of no contact with my judgmental narcissistic mother to fully shake that part of my psyche that she formed to crave her approval. Getting her voice out of my head was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, even though I knew for 15 plus years before our no contact period that she was awful. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not designing my cousin's wedding dress, even though I've designed everyone else's? So I, 29 female, have designed all the wedding dresses for my cousins, siblings, and aunts for the past decade. When my eldest sister, 35 female, got engaged at 24, she asked me to design her dress, since I'm passionate about design and she always loved my style. Her dress was a knockout. Everyone loved it. And ever since whenever one of our relatives announces their engagement, they ask if I can design their dress for them. I've always said yes, because I absolutely love doing it. Just so much fun. On to the issue. My cousin, 23 female, is getting married next February and called me up to see when we could meet so she could share her ideas for a dress and I can start designing it. I did not like this cousin at all. Her parents spoiled her beyond rotten, but I decided to still meet with her though and see if anything has changed since she is now an adult. She immediately shows me some photos of wedding dresses by Sarah Burton and tells me she wants something exactly like the pictures. I tried to suggest a change in neckline or collar, and she shuts it down and tells me she wants exactly like that. I told her I would not be making her dress, as I love designing clothes that embody their wearer and suit them, not rip off other designers so she can look fancy in a knockoff. Some of my family, and especially her and her parents, are beyond upset and have been blowing up my phone because I've broken tradition and my baby cousin's heart, because she's been looking forward to having me make her wedding dress for years now. I feel kind of bad, but at the same time, she's taking the fun and bonding out of designing a wedding dress. If your cousin wants a specific dress, she should just buy the specific dress. The tradition was for you to design the dresses and sharing these moments of creation with your family members. But of course, her and her parents are upset. The sort of dress she wants costs a lot of money. Having you do it is much cheaper. I think it's time you break with the tradition, not the a-hole. The tradition also included asking Opie if she could design a dress for them, not deciding that Opie will do that, and just demanding an appointment for discussing details. Lol. The audacity. This wasn't a cousin feeling grateful about having a designer in the family, and how gracious it is for that designer to take time and energy out of their day to create a custom dress, and showing even a modicum of respect by asking. This is an entitled brat demanding a service she feels entitled to. What really bugs me is that, even if Opie sticks to their guns here, I doubt cousin will actually learn anything from this. They'll simply brush it off as a mean family member. Not the a-hole. She's not asking you to design a dress. She's asking you to help her save a buck on a designer dress. Besides, you can say no for any reason you want. Your family's not entitled to your efforts. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister money out of my unborn children's bank account? I'm 28 female, have been married to my husband 29 male for 7 years. We were high school sweethearts and tied a knot as soon as we felt it was right in our adulthood. We always knew we wanted to have a family with 2 kids, 3 at most, but we didn't want to just start having babies without doing everything we possibly can to prepare. So immediately after we got married, we made 2 joint accounts, one for our shared finances and one for our future children. We would both work pretty decent jobs, and we have been putting $200 to $300 out of our paychecks into the account for our future children, plus all the other money that we received outside of work, birthdays, gifts, etc. That account is now sitting at a pretty decent amount of money. My sister is under some financial strain at the moment. Not too long ago, she got in a car accident where she totaled her vehicle and the other driver's vehicle. Was her fault, but everyone's okay. And she didn't have insurance. Now it is basically impossible for her to get affordable insurance, and she is paying out of pocket for the damages to the other party's vehicle/medical bills. My parents called me yesterday and asked me to come and see them, so I did. When I arrived, they sat me down and proceeded to ask me if I could give my sister $10,000 out of the account for my future children. Without hesitation, I said no, and they called me inconsiderate and a bad sister. I explained to them that my husband and I have been saving that money for the last 7 years to prepare for our future family, and that is just not a decision I can make. That my sister is facing the consequences of her own actions, and I shouldn't have to put up money that I have been saving for mistakes she made. They aren't seeming to see it from my point of view, and clearly not seeing how ridiculous of a request that is. They said it won't hurt since I don't plan on getting pregnant anytime soon, and that they will work up a way to pay us back. But I stood firm in my decision, and I told them that my sister made her bed by driving irresponsibly, and now she has to lie in it. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Tell your parents that she's their kid, and the money is for your kids. They even know about the account and how much you have in there? It's not anyone's business what you do with your finances, except for you and your husband. Yes, stop telling people how much money you have. It's not their business. After reading Reddit for 2 years, I can't believe how many people blab their personal finances to their family. All that does is bring out the moochers. Zip it. Just tell your parents you talk to your sister and you guys work things out. This does 2 things. Kills their current request for money and puts them on notice that you two have no problem talking about money issues, which heads off any further asks for money. I actually really love this idea. Edit/update. Thank you for all the kind comments and helping me see things from all perspectives. I'm editing this because I have recently been in contact with my sister about this, and she had no clue that my parents were going to ask me for such a large amount of money, let alone any money at all. She said that she asked them for assistance, about $500, but she's paid off majority of the costs of the damages. It only needs about $3,000 until the damages are completely paid off. She's also said she's not worried about getting a new car right now because her boyfriend's mother is letting her use her old one that is not being used otherwise. She also said she has never asked them for assistance on this specific matter anytime before the other day. So that leaves me puzzled as to why they need 10 grand if my sister owes a little under 3 grand for the damages, and if they were even going to use the money to help my sister in the first place. My sister reiterated to me that she would never ask for that kind of money, especially knowing how expensive children are. She has one of her own. So that poses another question. Do I confront my parents about lying to me? Update 2. Sorry for the wait. I spoke with my husband and we decided not to confront my parents. That whatever financial burden they're dealing with is not our business, nor do we care. We won't be giving out any money from any of our accounts. I believe my sister will confront our parents for using her in their lie. If that happens, I will update again. Also, my sister and I are not estranged, but we don't talk much because our relationship has no depth, because we've never had anything in common. Music tastes, style, boys, etc. I've never been able to relate to her and vice versa. I love her dearly though. I call her to check on my nephew periodically, but she lives 45 minutes away, so I don't visit often and vice versa. There were a lot of comments about sharing my finances with my parents. I was 21 when I discussed this with them, just thinking I was harmlessly informing my parents about my plans for their future grandchildren. I agree with all of you when you say I shouldn't have done that. I know this topic will come around again, and I plan on ignoring it. Again, I would like to thank you all for your input in my dilemma. It was greatly appreciated. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her share of the college fund? Plus update. Original post. A little backstory. We came from an extremely sexist family. For example, my brother got a car, 75% of our parents' estate, a big farm, lands, and all the machinery for it, and they paid for his college. My oldest sister had to take out loans so she can finish her education, while I never went to college because of my undiagnosed ADHD. Now I'm in therapy and start to become okay-ish, but I have money because of sheer dumb luck. My younger sister, 22 female, started college 2 years ago. My parents offered to pay to rent a room after she didn't get a scholarship and a room in the dorms. I offered her to pay her scholarship and some extra for groceries, stating that I put aside college fund for all girls in our family. My 2 daughters, my sister, a younger cousin, and a niece. This is just one account, and in my will, it stated it has to be divided between these girls for college expenses. My little sister is the oldest, and everybody else is between 6 to 12, and the ones who already finished college by the time I died gets nothing from that account. If I have more nieces, I'll add them too. Now to the problem. My sister decided to drop out, get pregnant and marry, planned with her boyfriend/fiancé of 6 months. I try not to be disappointed, I am, but I shut the heck up in real life about it. Today was the big announcement. I knew it beforehand, so I could act all happy, and after the lunch, she pulled me aside and asked to be left over to her college fund. I explained to her that there is no her fund. I already did this when she started college, and I'll be happy to pay for her tuition if she goes back someday. But she has to give me proof that she does go to college, because she pocketed the last semester's payment because she failed to inform me about her dropping out, and I sent her the money. She freaked out because she counted on that money for down payment for a 3-bedroom apartment, co-owning with her fiancé, but I stood firm in my decision. She accused me of trying to control her with my money and punishing her because she chose a different path in life, being a stay-at-home mom and not having a career. Our mom pointed out that it wasn't really feminist of me to not support her in this. Now for the comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You said you'd pay for college. She's not in college, and you're willing to pay if she chooses to go back, which makes you definitely not the a-hole. Your sister is seeing this as you giving her money because you've been sending her money to cover costs, and money's fungible. She's wrong, but I see how she came to that conclusion. I'd suggest if you want to avoid this sort of problems with the other people you are supporting, maybe ask them to send you the bill and instructions for how to pay it. With regard to your mom, I'm sure you've told her in the past how sexist she was about her disposition of educational support to your siblings. She's using your known vulnerability, your engagement with feminist ideas, to get a bit of revenge, which is horrible for her. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more careful about this when my cousin reaches that age. She's next. If you are continuing with this college fund, pay the school directly, not the a-hole. I don't know what tax law is like in your country, OP, but in the US, paying for someone's tuition directly to the institution is a way to get around lifetime gift taxes for the recipient. In the US, gifts up to a certain amount per year is non-taxable for the recipient, but many tuitions are more expensive than that per year. So if you gave the money to the student to give to the school, they would be on the hook for paying taxes on some of that money. If you pay the school directly, then it doesn't count as gift or taxable income for the student. If something like this is the case in your country too, it might be much better for your cousin to have you pay directly anyway. Not the a-hole. How are you controlling her with money that isn't hers? That's just weird. The money is a college fund, not a down payment on a condo fund. And she's already stolen from you. Tell her to take it out of the money she already pocketed. Turns out she thought it's hers, and if she has a daughter, she's going to get added on that list. We had a smaller argument about this, because she asked what if it's a boy? And, well, he's going to be a first his generation, and every great-grandparents of his is going to lose their freaking mind over it on our side of the family, and probably fiancé's side too. Not the a-hole. Go low contact with her. We already are. She knows I'm disappointed, and that I didn't think much of her fiancé. Now for the update. I decided to give you guys an update about the situation with some extra info. About the last semester's payment, Lil's sister offered to pay me back. It's sitting on her account, but I just gifted it to her as baby and wedding contribution for me. And the college fund was a full misunderstanding. She actually thought that it's going to be divided between all girls while I'm alive. I explained to her why it's not gonna happen, and went into great details about our older sister's college experience, and she was actually horrified. So it's all good between us, but I'm gonna be a little distant. About my family, we are a deeply traumatized family in a traumatized country. Read a little about Hungary's history. We're having generational trauma for breakfast. I had a long talk with Mom. She tried to act happy at first about my sister's plan, but she broke down eventually. She's worrying too because sister is making the same bad decisions that Mom and I did. And this is why she wanted to get every help my sister she could think of, panicked, and became passive-aggressive towards me. Right now, we try to come up with a plan, how to help my sis without helping my soon-to-be douche brother-in-law. Even my father is against this guy and a marriage, but he tries to be nice because he's afraid he's gonna lose my little sister too. And a few words about Mr. Douche, my future brother-in-law. He's already trying to isolate my sister, who has a codependent personality and wants to play house with anybody who's willing to try it. Hard to watch this crap show, but when everything unfolds, she needs to know she got me, and Mom, maybe even Dad too in her corner. Me? Douche is careful with me, because they need the money, but still tried some crap steering with me. We'll see what happens next, but one thing for sure, after they split, 1 to 2 marriages ends in divorce over here, so the chances are high. I'm gonna find my sister a good therapist. Betty A-Hat dips out when he finds out the sister isn't bringing her college fund with her to the marriage. Nah, because he still will end up with a free bangmaid. The Hungarian majority lives either below or very freaking close to the poverty line and hold extremely sexist views. So the fact that he will get a maid he can bang anytime while drinking away any money is a pretty cheery future a man here can ask for. I remember instantly falling in love with my husband when he, without prompting, started to dust or do the dishes and give me a painkiller when I was on my period. It's pretty freaking basic, but also it's pretty freaking hard to find as well. Where's brother, and why does he have 75% of his parents' estate? I'm also impressed that OP didn't throw in their mother's face about where was feminism when Big Sis lived in roach-infested apartment. And where is Big Sis too? It sounds like a bastardized version of the primogeniture still practiced here. The family seat, titles, and money goes to the firstborn male, the entire estate, in order that wealth isn't broken up into ever smaller pieces with each generation until, the horror, nobody can pay for the maintenance costs of their castle or their family's traditional seat in the countryside. Thus, they have to sell it. But Hungary was part of the USSR, and they abolished the inheritance of property. So there is no long line of inheritance and loss. And the parents are still alive. They just gave away their land to their son? After we left the Soviet Union, there was a redistribution of land based on the original property ownerships. So yes, the line of inheritance is still there. Usually what happens is that the kids just take over from the parents and the parents retire, but they still own the land. They just write a will if they don't want their kids to inherit evenly. I have a friend that grew up like this. Her father was Serbian and so is her husband. Her parents paid for her brother to be a doctor and the other one a chiropractor, while she got nothing. Her parents expected her to get married and not have a profession. She put herself through nursing school and her brother paid for her master's degree. She's now getting her doctorate, and she was a director at the University of Pennsylvania. Now she goes to rehab hospitals around the country and evaluates them. Moral of the story, some women want to be more and nothing will stop them. Not even misogynistic parents. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not supporting my sister's plan to be a single mom by choice? My 30 male sister, 32 female, recently got out of a 7-year relationship after being cheated on. She was sure that she was going to marry this guy. She's wanted to be a mom for a while, but was waiting to be married. A couple nights ago, she came over to my house and had dinner with my family. After the kids went to bed, she told me and my wife about her plan to have a kid via sperm donor. I think she thought I was going to be happy for her, but I was not. I told her I can't believe that after growing up without a father in the household, because our dad died when we were very young, she would purposely put kids in that situation. It seems incredibly selfish. She said she's prepared to do it alone and has strong men to be role models around, including me. I told her not to rely on me as a major role model, as my wife and I are strongly considering moving abroad before our kids start school. My wife is an EU citizen, and we may move to be closer to her family in Europe. Suffice to say, the rest of the conversation didn't go well. She stormed out, and yesterday was texting me how disappointed in me she was. I basically told her sorry if I was harsh, but I 100% believe everything I said. I just can't imagine purposely bringing a kid into a disadvantaged situation like that just because she's not sure if she'll ever find a partner again. You can disagree all you want and you shouldn't be forced into a father figure. But if you think that a child has a better life just because it has 2 parents, that's just crazy. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and my mother was my primary provider and she raised me without my father. And I have an amazing life, and I'm an amazing person because of my mother, and I grew up without a male figure around. My first male figure came into my life when I was 11 years old in the form of my stepdad. Don't put down single mothers because you don't believe in it or grew up in a tough way. But it is a lot easier with 2 involved parents versus 1. The key is both need to be involved. Sure, I was raised by a single mother for years, and it's rough. We were fine, sister and I mostly, but really hard on my mom. I have a friend who married a POS, had 2 kids with him and then divorced. She is a fantastic mom, and her kids are far better off without their father in their lives, but she has it hard. There was no downtime when you are a single parent. Everything starts and stops with you, and it can be really exhausting and relentless. When you have a dependable, involved partner, you can beg off when you need to. Whether it's because you had a tough day at work, are tired, or not feeling it, whatever. You can also divide and conquer. One parent handles school drop-offs, one parent handles appointments, one parent buys clothing, one parent takes care of lunches. You alternate who stays home with a sick child, etc. When you're a single parent, you do all of it all the time, and it is not easy. I'm pregnant with my ex-husband's baby, and somehow a fair partner is mad? Original post. And I feel so needy asking him to come. Trying to be as vague as I can possibly be without affecting the story. So I, mid-20s. I'm married to Brad, also mid-20s. We currently have a long-distance relationship because he got a better work opportunity there and I can't move because I can't take my uni campus with me. I wasn't that thrilled about him moving a 5-hour drive away to a new country. But it being Europe, we figured that trains and buses will help ease the temporary experience. Plus, he was overjoyed about it, and I could never taint his happiness. Lately, something really bad happened to my life. Without getting into too much details, I am grieving really badly. Hours and days and weeks seem to blend into each other in this thick, heavy mess, and I can't bring myself to get out of bed some days or put on trousers. He knows of the situation but can't do much being so far, so I ask him to come over. Here's where we get to the problem. His brother, Chad, moved to Brad's country to study. Brad said he can't come over because he has to show his brother the country and school and help him move, etc. He is planning to be his guide over the city for 2 weeks. I pleaded with him that I needed him, but he told me he is scared his parents will get mad at him if he doesn't take care of his brother like they want him to. I was heartbroken. I was venting to a friend, Denise, asking her if it is normal that I am so sad he won't come support me in these dark times. And she snapped at me, told me I should be grateful I have a caring husband, and to stop being freaking jealous of a teen. Chad is 19 and she knows it. Denise then ranted that I am being ridiculous and an a-hole for demanding he leave his baby brother behind to come cuddle me like a child. She told me I needed to hear the truth of my actions from someone else. Now I feel like the worst human and the worst wife on the planet. I need advice on how to deal with this relationship conflict and maybe a bit less needy. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Can you not go to him? If you're already not going to classes, it would make more sense if you went over there since he has work and other obligations. I live at home, while he lives in a very strict housing facility managed by his work and is not allowed visitors. I would have to get an Airbnb, which I absolutely cannot afford. Also, I'm not going to classes because they haven't started yet. They start next week. I'm sorry you're depressed. Are you working with a doctor and therapist? I can appreciate that you'd like him to come see you. But wouldn't that mean he has to miss work as well? If he's already taking these 2 weeks off, is there a compromise? Like he could show his brother around the first week then come see you for a few days. I guess I just don't see what he can really do for you other than be present. And he does have another obligation already. If you've been feeling poorly for a while, it seems like you should see your doctor and a therapist. He works mostly remotely and only very few hours. Like 10 over 2 hours a week. 2 of which have to be on-site because of equipment he can't transport home. He usually does all 8 hours at the end of the month, so isn't needed on-site for 3 weeks. I'm working with a psychiatrist. I can't see very often for various reasons that are mostly money and time. She told me she would rather not have me medicated right away and constantly stresses the importance of a support system. He is on the autism spectrum, so very bad with words but good with gestures. That's why I want him here. He doesn't have a clue how to help someone emotionally by text. Whether your husband is with you or with his brother right now is not the real issue. You have clearly been hurting for a long time, and even if your husband did come home, you still need real treatment for acute depression and grieving. Please try to seek treatment or find a support group, even an online group, to deal with your grief. You are not the worst human and wife on the planet. You are a hurt human being who needs help processing your loss. I can't bring myself to call your spouse the a-hole. Yes, you're supposed to put your spouse first when you're married, but in this case, your husband isn't just ditching home to go on vacation. He's helping his brother get set up in a new country. Again, even if he did skip this trip and come home, you would still need, and deserve, additional mental health support to get you through this time. I'm very sorry for your loss. Please be kind to yourself. This brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. As explained in another comment, I have psychiatrist's help. She is encouraging me to have my husband around. Also, yeah, no one tells you losing your mom, dad, and sister and ending up in debt would be that brutal on you. He didn't even come to the funeral. I am lost, but appreciated your kind words. I'll try not to be so hard on him. Now for the first update a month later. My wonderful, soon-to-be ex-husband lied to me for months while living with his affair partner, my ex-best friend. It was lovely to find out that no, his new work building didn't have strict rules. She was living with him. He had a work opportunity in another country, so we were living in a long-distance relationship for a few months. We saw each other recently, had passionate sessions, and overall had fun. Until I discovered the affair. Tears and screams and bag packing later. I was home mulling over the situation. I am numb, still numb even after finding out I was pregnant. Here is where it gets good. Affair partner is infertile. Her husband left her recently because of that, and I was her shoulder to cry on. I called ex-husband to tell him about the baby, the high risk of miscarriage, and she was next to him. She went crazy. Screamed and cried that I had no right to have her man's baby, that I am stealing her life and being a witch. Oh, really? Even her relatives are now blowing up my phone calling me horrible spiteful witch. What? How? Why? Logic gymnastics much? I am so done with everything. 2022 sucks. I have no one to talk to, so here I am getting this out of my chest. Edit: Denise is the same Denise from my last post. Also, funnily enough, Chad tips me on the affair. I have a therapist, and following your advice, got a lawyer. Also, please stop telling me to not murder my baby over my bitterness for my husband. My heart is already raw over that hard but necessary decision. I respect your beliefs, so please respect my decision. She's mad because she wanted everything that you had, but you took something that she'd never be able to get. Her plan failed. Yes, I personally would rub her nose in it. She deserves that torture. Tune out their crazy. Block her and her family. Have your baby. File for child support. Live a fantastic, happy life. I hope she chokes on her own bile. She is incensed she wasn't successfully able to slot into your life and remove you completely from his. And that you're pregnant with his child, something she will never be. The only fitting punishment for him is eternity with a woman who seems quite unstable and her super crazy family. I hope they live miserably ever after. Funnily enough, her mom called me a homewrecker. Get a really good lawyer so you can figure out custody and child support. I am so sorry you're going through all of this alone. I was a single mom for a few years, and while it was tough, it forced me to want better for myself and to do better for my child. You will get through this, OP. There's no one in the world stronger than a protective and determined mama. There probably won't be custody or anything because of my health state, but thank you for such a nice message. I'm honestly baffled at Denise's words and logic, but what can I do but move on? I have to admit I would have loved to be a mom, even if it meant going through the journey alone. But health issues plus very rocky situation is making the whole ordeal very unstable. If I was to have a kid, they deserve to at least have a mentally stable mom, which is why I am making the very painful decision to let it go. You have to do what's best for you. And if letting the pregnancy end is the best thing, then well done for making such an incredibly difficult decision. There is no shame in waiting until you are in a better, more stable, and more supportive time in your life. I wish you luck in your life, and hope you can work through this awful situation. And screw Denise. Your ex may be tied to her craziness, but at least you won't be. It's the best thing for everyone involved, especially the child. But God, isn't it a hard decision to make? I want him to have the best in this world could offer, and that is simply impossible when you see his dad, stepmom, and my mental health state. Thanks for caring. It means a lot. Now for the second update. It's been about 3 days, but these days felt like weeks to me. As I was tossing and turning in my hospital bed, I remembered this account and thought you might want an update. To be frank, I also need to tell someone. I lost my baby. A few hours after posting, actually. Avoiding details, and my memory is also hazy. It was gruesome. I won't explain very much, but it was just horrible. For context, I take heart meds for a condition I got from my dad, one of those being blood thinners. When I miscarried, it was flowing, and I honestly thought I would be dying. I was on my knees in pain, and the massive blood loss coupled with the already severe anemia made me very dizzy and confused. I called the fire department and managed to stay lucid until they came. I wish this on no one ever. It was traumatizing. This is where it gets bad. I don't remember if I mentioned it somewhere on the original post, but my husband came home when he heard of the pregnancy and was staying at a budget hotel on the other side of the road. When he saw the fire trucks pulling to our house, he apparently ran over to ask what was happening to his wife. He followed the ambulance to the hospital, or so he told me, and came in pretending he was my dear old husband being so concerned for me. I didn't need much, just a blood transfusion, iron and other IVs, and some painkiller. They also gave me meds to finish the job and recommended rest. Waking up to find him next to me was a nightmare? I have no English words to describe how gutted I was when I woke up to his concerned face next to me. We fought. I told him I never wanted to see him again and was serving him papers soon. He said I was his wife, that he loved more than anything in this world, and was deeply concerned for me. What love? When you were living with your affair partner. Then he pulled out his phone and broke up with Denise on speakerphone. It asked me if I wanted him to make a Facebook post where he tells everyone about his infidelity. I told him he could go screw himself for all I care. Every time I wake up, there he is, tidying up my room, changing the flowers in the vase, peeling my fruit, or bringing me even more boxes of my favorite chocolates, the fruity, the merry ones. He is constantly here, catering to my every need. The nurses did ask me if I wanted him removed after we argued, but I said no. I don't know why. I feel like somewhere in there is still the kind man I married. Maybe not. As I write this, he is sleeping on a wooden chair, arms crossed. As for Denise, she sent me some colorful messages. She heard about my miscarriage from my husband and didn't miss a beat in insulting me even more, saying that's all I deserve for stealing her man away from her, that I was a racist slut who hated her and her family all along, and she was glad I would never be a mother. It goes without saying that I took the mental health initiative to block her and her whole circus. See you in therapy, guys. Homewrecker out. Don't know if I can be vulnerable, but I feel like my heart has been ripped to shreds. Someone on my last post said something to the effect of, no one goes to an abortion with a smile on their face. And God, is that true? Even if this baby wasn't expected to last, it hurts. It hurts like crazy. You keep playing the what ifs in your head. I wish it didn't have to be this way. I wish I could welcome a little one into my life. I keep wishing I could just go back to having a small family and a loving husband. I wish I could just forgive and forget, but I won't. And man, does it hurt. This is getting too long and boring. Sorry about that. I can't thank you enough for all the kind words from every single one of you. Rereading them earlier gave me the clarity to realize I was making the right decision and I had the strength to do so. Thank you. So, your husband didn't break up with Denise all this time he was asking you to take him back? Don't be weak, OP. You made it this far without him or his support. He abandoned you when your parents and sister died. He didn't even come to their funeral. He was living with Denise and sleeping with her. Her entire family betrayed you for so long. He lied saying the housing was strict and never let you see where he was living. He was ready to leave you in the cruelest way. Your last bond with him is gone after baby was heartbreakingly lost. Don't let him hurt you again. Oof, condensing it all made my head spin. Remembering the layers and layers of betrayal and cruelty make me want to fight for that alimony. But seriously, I just now realized he didn't even break up with her until then. Screw this guy. Get the alimony. He will just give it to Denise. Get what he owes you. From your other posts, you've been very socially isolated. I can understand why you'd tell the nurse the husband thing could stay. You need a social support. You don't have to get back with him or try and stay with him because he's helping you now. The fact of the matter is, it's too little too late. Don't let him back in your life when you're getting better. You're doing the right thing with therapy and a divorce lawyer. They'll help you deal with your dumpster fire husband and psycho Denise. Your therapist might be able to recommend support groups, etc. You will meet people and form friendships. You'll find new interests and be able to overhaul your life when the husband creature is gone and you're on the mend. Surprised to see someone understand a husband thing. I can't help feeling either like I am taking advantage of him or being a coward and letting him back so easily into my life. Maybe it is that deep down I just feel alone. My therapist recommended a good grief counselor when I called to cancel my next appointment. I was confused, but she said I needed someone to help me grieve the relationship and my baby. Guess she knows better. I will give it a try. Turns out I had more friends than I thought. People came to visit me so much it was exhausting. Denise's brother came and brought me flowers and a letter. Haven't read it yet. Thank you for your concern, but I will be okay. I'll let the waves of life take me, hopefully, somewhere better. Tell the nurse to kick him out. I should, but I'm weak. Also, the nurses are absolute angels. After the fight did my refusal to kick him out, one of them slid me a piece of bandage wrapper. The paper thing gauze comes in. On it she wrote, if you need help or security to be called, ask for grapes with your lunch. Honestly, such a smart move. I thanked her profusely afterwards. Last update. It's 11 p.m. here. I kicked my husband out of the room earlier. He started talking about going home together and finally trying officially for a kid. I had enough. I asked the nurse, the one who gave me the wrapper, for grapes as a snack. She called security and they escorted him out. I can't move on if he's lingering around. Thanks for all the sweet messages, the concerns, the love, the support, the DMs, everything. You people have a heart of gold, and I hope karma pays it back tenfold. You don't know the positive impact you had on my mental health. Jesus, it's like the universe pointed at Opie and said, destroy this person in particular. losing her whole close family suddenly, having her husband cheat on her with her best friend, and having such a traumatic miscarriage, all in such a short time span. I hope she recovers from this and finds new people that care for her. Seriously, the universe must have put something in the air if all of Reddit wasn't even sniffing out an affair from that first post. I mean, come on. That's all we do here. What the heck happened? She's literally in the hospital after a life-threatening miscarriage, being actively harassed by the woman he was fooling around on her with. And he thinks the way to get her back is to offer to knock her up again? Good hustle, I guess. That's because she's his baby incubator. He only cared about getting back with her because she was pregnant with his baby. He only wants to be with her so he can get his perfect family. That's why he so easily left Denise. She can't provide that for him.